Hi, I'm Derek, and in this video, we're going to walk through one of the most powerful custom Excel tools that you will likely ever use called Global Search. What this is a search box that lets you search with autocomplete several different things that you're going to use commonly in Excel to get your work done. So let's dive in and get started. The default shortcut for this is Control-Shift-W when you have the XLEV8 Add-in installed. Now it's going to be able to search for 5 different things. First of all, macros that you might want to run that are housed within the add-in, as well as some others. We'll touch on those in a minute. You can also search for lambdas to inject into your files. If you don't know what lambda custom functions are, I highly recommend using them. I'll put a link in the comments at the bottom of the video so that you can check out some of the resources there. You can search for files that you often will reference that you haven't really pinned anywhere else very, very quickly. You can search for sheets if you have a whole bunch of them in your workbook, like I often do. And you can also search for named ranges. Okay, the most recent 10 things that you search for, as you're seeing right here, are going to be displayed without having to search at all. You can press the arrow keys up and down and notice it's contextual. So based on the type of item that it is that meets your search results or your recents, it's going to show you different factors related to them. And we'll touch on that a little bit more as we go. If you want to filter that down, again, you can search for multiple partial words. You can also use the shortcuts like MA for macro, and then type something like filter. Okay, so that'll be one of the first ones. This is kind of how I got started with this obsession with autocomplete searching, is based on the fact that, yeah, I've got shortcuts for a few things, but for the stuff I use maybe once a month or less, yeah, where was that? I'd have to go up into the ribbon, which you're seeing at the top here, and I'd forget where stuff was, and heck, I'm building a thing. So I came up with the search box here after being inspired by searching on Google over the last 20 years or so. And it's going to search for multiple partial words in this case. So we put the macro filter on there with that MA colon at the beginning. Okay, and I'm going to run one called filter picker in just a moment. Before we do, let's look at some of the context we have with this specific search type. Okay, we can set keyboard shortcuts. Control-Shift-F is the default one for this particular macro. So normally I wouldn't search for this one, but it gives you the ability to set and unset. So I wanted to highlight that. You can also set your UI shortcut. Okay, that means over here, I'll show it in a moment, but it's over here in the shortcuts of the XLEV8 ribbon tab if you are not a huge keyboard shortcut person. You can also see the help URL, you can see the description. That shortcut's going to be listed there as well as other factors. You can favorite your macros. So if you wanted to narrow down those search results and you have 50 or 60 that you're like, these are the only ones I really think I'll use, you can toggle that and then use the filter toggle up there that'll only search for those. And you can set those keyboard shortcuts, the UI shortcut, or the favorites. Those can all be done in one bulk setting if you wanted to. Now, the other thing that you can do specific to macros is inject either in your workbook. So if you're big on macros like I am, just check that box, and any of the ones that are in your workbook will also be available, and they'll be displayed with that AWB at the very beginning, just so you know what they are. So after a little context here, if you want to run this, just the whole name needs to be in there. So if you're searching for partial and you press the arrow keys, it'll show. And then here's an example of one that I run all the time. Okay, so whether you're filtering to a specific name or whether you're actually we need to turn this on real quick. So run that again, filter picker, and we're going to use option A to apply freeze panes, add filtering, and even auto fit the column widths. Okay, so that's one example of something that you can do. Once that entire name is in there, you hit run or hit enter, and it will run. Another example we're going to do here, maybe one that you don't run quite as often, is bullet format cells. Hey, guess what? I ran that just the other day, so I don't have to search for it. It's right there. This is one that's going to use a settings sheet, this one right over here, to update in this sheet, in this named range, what format value. So it's just another example of something I don't use all the time, where the search box comes in very handy. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to cover within the global search box is the ability to look for files. Okay. We spend a lot of time looking for stuff, and files is one of them. McKinsey found that searching for things like whether it's an Excel file or something else, is something we spend over 400 hours a year on. That's a lot. That's like 20-something% of your work year, right? So let's cut that down. I can come in here, and if you want to, you can narrow it down to files by putting that short code at the very beginning. I'm just going to type the word push. This happens to open up a template I've been using to track push-ups, and it's a challenge I've been doing, but Took what, 3 seconds to open that file. A lot faster than most people that go out to File Explorer when they haven't pinned a file, okay? So that is going to be super fast. Some of the other things you'll see when you use that one, you can narrow down the recency and number of months, you can search the entire path or just the file name. Again, you can favorite that. Shows you down at the bottom where that is, what the file name is, etc., just so you know, because can get a little long, so up here in the search box you might not be able to see that. Okay, so files, another great thing that you can search for. Now, a third one, if you have a file with a lot of sheets in it, and a lot of my experience has been in retail where we have a ton of sheets, you can also search for sheets. So as an example here, I'm going to search for a sheet called California. Notice I just put part of it in there. Not as many details here, just that visibility and then the tab color, but press enter, it jumps right to that sheet. And when you combine this with other macros like the sheet picker here, where F is my default option, I just press enter to go to the very front. Often there's a table of contents there waiting for me. So between those three things, the table of contents, the picker there, and then the searchability, I can get through workbooks with hundreds of sheets very, very quickly. That's a huge bonus there. Now, it also can work. Notice if we look at what's hidden, okay, what can we unhide? There's one sheet here, inputs, okay, but we're going to use the search again, okay, to find this sheet called super hidden sheet. Well, it's been very hidden within the VBA settings, okay? That's okay, because this will automatically unhide it, and then it will jump to it, okay? So you can always hide that again. Little picker here, I'm going to put HV for hide that sheet to very hidden, and it goes back away. Key is you can use the search box to find sheets very quickly, even activate them if they're hidden. Now, another thing that you can use to look for things is named ranges. Very much like with sheets, if you have a whole bunch of named ranges, I use quite a few of them to act as shortcuts or, just to make sure I'm using the right thing within formulas. Okay, so if we wanted to use that, I'm going to search for the term AK. Now, if you see a few things, so again, if you wanted to narrow that down, just put in the short code there, AK, and it's going to jump to not just a sheet, but a very specific named range. And you see that up here with a name box. So we've got this entire range here that's been jumped to very, very quickly. Okay, so named ranges, if you use them, it's another thing that's built in there. And then last but not least, really, really helpful, I've been on a big kick in 2025 with Lambdas. You have the ability to find Lambdas that are in your centralized library. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute or so. To find them and inject them into your workbook. Okay, so let me go back up here. In the formulas, in the name manager where you manage those, okay, I usually start mine with L underscore. I'll tell you why in a minute. Notice we've got 5 or 6 of them here, okay? If I want to inject another one that's not in here, we can use the search box. I'm going to search for the term East because I have one that can, of all things, calculate Easter. Right? It's going to show you a few things here. Remember, they're contextual. So it's going to show you the group that it's in, the formula that defines it, any comments. I highly recommend those so you understand what they do, especially when you share them with people. When was it created? So this one a few months ago. And then you have the ability to automatically, anytime you write a new Lambda in a workbook, it will automatically add it to your centralized library when you check the box here and give it a prefix. It's one reason I like to use L underscore is because of that right there. It also makes it easy to search here in a search box. And as you'll see in a moment, makes it easy to type in the formula. You also have the ability to add all of the ones within that same group. So here you see the group is dates. I've got about a dozen or so that are date related. And if you search for just one of them and that is checked, it'll add all of them from that group. So I'm going to click enter here. Okay, looks like one of those is already in there. So it's like, yeah, that's fine. We can override that or cancel. But what happens in just one step is now we have a whole bunch of these that were added. So beginning of year, anniversaries, there's a bunch that are related to dates. Okay, so if we wanted to use that and we wanted to calculate the date of Easter for this particular year, see how it makes it easy to type to with L underscore because there's hundreds of functions in Excel. This helps narrow that down. For one or more years, it'll calculate it for you. Just turn that into a date format and there you go. Huge for reusing your formulas. I can't emphasize enough how helpful Lambda has been with really calculated stuff. This one is obviously quite easy, but it's going to centralize that for you. Now, if you want to centrally manage those, again, use the search box. All right, search for bulk Lambda. And what it's going to do is take a library that's saved on the back end and add a sheet to whatever file that you're in, and you can centrally manage this. Okay, so what date, what name, formula, comment, etc. Notice I've got about, looks like 76 of them as of today. And from here you can delete, add, update them, etc. And this list, when you run it again, it will save all that. This list is used to power that search box. Okay, so very cool stuff. Highly recommend using that. It's going to save a lot of time and let you reuse your efforts. So wrapping up, what did we see? Well, we saw a powerful search box. So let's just find a lot of cool things. Macros, files, sheets, range names, and even inject lambdas all in one powerful search box. If you're not already using the XLEV8 add-in, I'm going to drop a comment down below or a link in the comments below where you can find and install that and get a license yourself. Hundreds of tools in there, a lot like the ones you've seen here that are going to help you save a lot of time navigating, formulas, doing bulk items, etc. So there you have it, global search box, definitely something I highly recommend to use. Thanks for watching. Have an excellent rest of your day.